Hello, friends! Today we will see what an adventurous bunny was looking for on a frozen lake in winter. He is very brave, more than all the other bunnies in the forest. Thumper twitched his nose and ears, trying to determine where it came from. It seemed to be coming from the lake. Thumper had never heard such a strange sound before. So he didn't even notice how freezing cold it was. He just hopped right onto the lake. Thumper walked confidently across the ice, his nose twitching all the time. But suddenly, crack, the ice gave way under the bunny's paws. But then he calmed down and realized that he had to think of a solution to his problem quickly, otherwise he would indeed freeze. Then he remembered what his dad had once told him, "Don't hold your breath," and Thumper began to breathe very heavily, puffing out his cheeks. The bunny pushed against the ice again, but it still wouldn't budge. The bunny was very ashamed that he worried his family. Thumper felt very bad. He had never had such a serious wound before. His mother cleaned the wound, put a bandage on his paw, and gave him some medicine. Then she said, "Rest now. You'll feel much better after a good night's sleep." "Oh, my brave Thumper," his mom said, hugging him. He tossed and turned in his bed until morning, thinking about how he would get to the lake the next time. The bunny couldn't wait to tell his family about his new achievement. Let us know in the comments if you like the story of the brave bunny who built a bridge on a frozen lake. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. There will be many more interesting stories for you. Bye. Thumper proudly showed his parents the bridge he built. "Wow, son, you really did it," Dad said. "You're such a brave and smart bunny." Mom hugged Thumper. "I'm so proud of you, my boy." Thumper beamed with happiness. He couldn't wait for the forest animals to see his new bridge. Thumper asked his mom if he could go out. "But you're still limping, son," his mom said. "I want to help you, but I can't let you go out in this condition." "Mom, I have an idea," Thumper said. "Can't I just hop on my good paw to the lake and back?" "Well, I suppose you could," his mom replied. "But why are you in such a hurry? You can wait until you're completely healed." "Because I want to build a bridge to the lake," Thumper replied. "I'll make it myself." Mom was surprised. Such a small bunny wanting to build a bridge on his own. This was definitely unprecedented. "Well, I don't see why not," Mom said. "Just don't overdo it." Okay, he had to find a way to cross the ice. Otherwise, how would he get to the other side? But then he noticed that he could actually hop pretty well on both paws. So the bunny started hopping all the way to the lake. As soon as he arrived, Thumper immediately got to work. He gathered sticks and leaves, piling them up higher and higher. It wasn't easy, but Thumper worked diligently, remembering how difficult it was to get to the lake. The bunny wanted to make it easier for all the forest animals. The bunny sat on the edge of his bed and started thinking. When the moon was shining high in the sky, the bridge was ready. The little bunny proudly looked at his work. He did it. Hopping onto the bridge, Thumper made sure it was strong enough. It was fun to jump on the bridge. Thumper spent a long time playing on it, imagining how all the forest animals would be happy when they learned to cross the lake safely. "You're okay. We thought we'd lost you." "I'm sorry, Mom," Thumper said. "I'll never go anywhere without telling you again." The bunny's dad nodded. "That's right. You're too brave sometimes, son, and that can get you into trouble." However, Thumper noticed that the piece of ice moved slightly. So the bunny continued breathing heavily and pushing until finally, crack, the ice broke. Thumper fell into the water, where he shook himself, trying to get the water off his fur. Then he started running home as fast as he could. The hole in Thumper's paw hurt very much. Also, the bunny's whole body ached from being in the freezing cold water. But he didn't have time to worry about that now. First, he needed to warm up a bit. Of course, he couldn't just sit idle by and do nothing. He had to go check it out. Every time there is some loud and dangerous thing around, he is always the first one to go see what it is. The bunny curled up into a ball, trying to warm up as soon as possible. Thumper felt bad. He knew his family was probably worried sick about him. The bunny's mother was already preparing dinner when Thumper went exploring. She was waiting for her son to come back, but he never showed up. Thumper's dad was also very worried. He was just finishing his evening chores when he noticed that his son hadn't returned. All the rabbits in the burrow were worried about Thumper. They were guessing all sorts of things. Maybe a hungry fox got him, or maybe he fell victim to a hungry wolf. Who knows? Even if it's a hungry wolf or a very angry bear, nothing can stop our hero. The bunny's name is Thumper. That's because when he was just born, he accidentally hit his little paw with a hammer that his father used for digging holes. Ever since then, Thumper's paw was slightly lame, but it didn't stop him from being the most curious bunny in the forest. You can find out about it by watching this video to the end. So let's go. This bunny is not an ordinary bunny. One day, Thumper was chewing on a juicy carrot not far from his hole. Suddenly, he heard a strange cracking sound. The little bunny hopped toward the lake as fast as he could. When he reached the shore, he looked out at the water, but he couldn't see anything unusual. There wasn't even a single fish jumping out of the water. Then Thumper noticed a thin layer of ice on the surface of the lake. The little bunny took a closer look. Sure enough, the ice was indeed cracking. What could it be? Thumper was too impatient to wait until the ice broke through. He decided to go check it out himself. Of course, it was very cold outside and the air temperature was well below zero. But Thumper was a brave bunny. The bunny struggled to free his paws from the ice. The water was freezing cold and Thumper started shivering, and then something terrible happened. The ice cracked again and the bunny's paw got stuck right between two pieces of ice. Now he understood that he was in big trouble. It was impossible to pull his paw out of this mess. If he didn't do something, he would freeze and no one would ever see him again. Thumper desperately tried to free his paw. His heart started beating faster and faster. Tears welled up in his eyes. The poor bunny was scared. Thumper started pushing his body weight against the ice, trying to break it. The ice didn't budge. Freeing his paw, Thumper immediately ran to the shore. When Thumper got home, he immediately jumped into his warm bed made of hay. When they heard the front door creaking, all the bunnies rushed over there. They saw Thumper hobbling toward them. His paw was bandaged. As soon as Thumper had told his family about his adventure, it was immediately obvious that he needed treatment. His paw was badly injured. Thumper couldn't fall asleep. In the morning, Thumper's paw already ached less, but he still couldn't walk properly on it. Thumper happily bounced out the door and headed towards the lake. At first, he sat on his good paw. Thumper worked until late into the night. When the sun began to rise, Thumper returned home. Friends, we have come to the end of our story. Once upon a time, in a cozy burrow under the roots of an old oak tree, lived a bunny named Bonfire. Bonfire was no ordinary bunny. He was a brave bunny. Every day he would hop out of his burrow and explore the meadow, unafraid of the dangers that lurked beyond the tall grasses. Bonfire wasn't afraid of anything except one, his friend Pebble the squirrel. Pebble was a nervous wreck. He would constantly chatter about all the horrible things that could happen to them while exploring the meadow. What if we get lost? There's nothing to be afraid of out here, Bonfire said, hopping impatiently. But Pebble just shook his head and continued to chatter nervously. Oh, Bonfire, you scared me half to death. I just wanted to show you that there's nothing to be afraid of in the meadow, Bonfire said, his voice filled with remorse. Pebble hopped closer to Bonfire, his anger fading away. It's all right, Bonfire. I understand that you were only trying to help, but please don't do that again. My heart can't take that much excitement, he pleaded. I thought we were going to be lion food, he said, his heart still pounding from the fright. Of course, Pebble, no more scary games, he promised. From that day on, Bonfire and Pebble continued to explore the meadow together. Bonfire was more mindful of Pebble's feelings and never played any more scary games. And Pebble, although still a bit of a worrier, learned to trust Bonfire and enjoy their adventures in the meadow. Their friendship, stronger than ever, proved that true friends not only accept each other's differences, but also learn and grow together. Bonfire couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. He realized that he had taken his friendship with Pebble for granted and that he should have been more sensitive to Pebble's feelings. Pebble was being so negative that Bonfire decided to show him just how safe the meadow could be. "I'm gonna prove to Pebble that he has nothing to worry about," Bonfire thought to himself. "What if we run out of food? What if we encounter a fox?" Pebble would say these things so often that Bonfire started to dread their adventures. As Pebble hesitantly approached the rock, Bonfire noticed a family of field mice scurrying around. An idea popped into Bonfire's head. He pretended to be a ferocious lion, roaring as loudly as he could. One day, Bonfire had enough of Pebble's constant worrying. "Stop it, Pebble! You're ruining our fun." As they ventured deeper into the meadow, Bonfire's patience began to wear thin. Pebble, who had just peeked around the rock, saw the disappearing mice and gasped. "Oh my goodness, Bonfire, what was that?" "Was that a real lion?" he squeaked. Bonfire burst out laughing. "No, silly, it was me. I was just pretending." He challenged. "Hey, Pebble, why don't we go over there and see what's behind that big rock up ahead?" Pebble's eyes widened in fear. "But Bonfire, we don't know what's behind there." "It could be a fox or a weasel or a hawk," he exclaimed. But Bonfire had already hopped behind the rock and was wagging his tail excitedly. "See, nothing to worry about," Bonfire called back to Pebble. The field mice were terrified and ran away as fast as their little legs could carry them. Pebble let out a huge sigh of relief. "I'm sorry, Pebble. I didn't mean to scare you." Bonfire nodded, a big smile spreading across his face. There was a mouse who lived in a house. In this house, every evening they would eat cheese and drink wine. And then after they had drunk the wine, but one day the mouse fell down into the copper pot and got stuck. He tried to hold on to the sides of the pot, but it was too slippery. So he cried out, "Oh, dear Lord, help me." They would leave the leftover wine in a copper pot and go to sleep. One night, the mouse took out a piece of flatbread and laid it beside the pot. It was the biggest piece of flatbread he had ever seen. He said to the fly, "Eat as much of this bread as you can. There's plenty for both of us." They were very upset and started searching for the bread. When they found it, they ate it all up, and the mouse felt bad that he could only offer such a small piece of bread to his friends. He thought to himself, "If I had saved that big piece of bread that the master of the house threw away last night, my friends would not have gone hungry today." Just then, the fly said, "Hey, little mouse, what are you thinking?" The mouse said, "I was thinking that yesterday you all ate up the bread that I kept out for you." The fly said, "We didn't know that piece of bread was for us. If we had known, we would have left some for you as well." The mouse said, No, you eat it all." "I don't need it." The fly said, "All right, then we won't waste any more of your food. From now on, we will bring our own food and eat it together." And that is exactly what they did. Every night the flies would bring their own food and eat it with the mouse. And they remained friends forever. The fly said, "I can't eat it all myself. I'll call my friends and we'll eat it together." So he called all the flies and they all sat on the bread. The mouse was very happy to see them all gathered there. Now, this mouse would come out of his hole and eat the leftover cheese and drink the leftover wine. The mouse was very upset to see his friend thrown outside. He started crying. Then the fly said, "Don't cry, little mouse. I may be a bit hurt, but I'm not dead yet. Go and take the bread from outside and keep it near the pot. The mouse said, "I can't take it out. That bread was very big, and it was thrown outside the door, far away from here." The fly said, "Then bring whatever you can and keep it near the pot. I'll wait for you there." After moving it a few steps, he realized that it was quite heavy. In the morning, the fly came back and saw the bread. He ate it and said to the mouse, "Little mouse, I have asked my friends to come at noon. We will meet again at this place and eat your bread together." Then the fly went out. He thought, "These grains will not be useful for anyone if I don't eat them, so why not eat them and get some strength?" Just then, he heard a voice saying, "Hey, you little mouse, don't you know that it is forbidden to touch another person's food?" The mouse said, "Who said that?" The fly said, "Your grandfather told me that when I was young, he used to catch mice in his mousetrap and eat their meat, and he told me that they are very fond of grain." The mouse said, "That old fool doesn't live here anymore. Now his son has become the head of the house, and he is a nice guy. He feeds me grain every day." The fly said, "Good for you. I like your straightforwardness. I forgive you for what you were about to do. Let's become friends." The mouse said, "I would love that. You can sit on my back and we can eat together." So they both ate the grain and became good friends. But he thought to himself, "I have done harder work than this before." So he pushed it and moved it near the door. Then the Lord said, "What is it that you want?" The mouse said, "I have fallen into this pot and I am unable to climb out. Please pull me out." Then the Lord said, "You have been given life for 40 days. Within these 40 days, you must perform an action which will make people call you a hero mouse instead of a little field mouse." The mouse said, "What should I do?" The Lord said, "Bring the copper pot to the doorstep and do not let it move from there for 40 days. The mouse said, "Is that all?" "That is easy. I can do it." So the mouse pushed the copper pot with his nose towards the door. After some time, the mouse started feeling thirsty and hungry. He went near the cupboard and saw some grains. From then on, every night, the fly would bring different types of food for the mouse, and the mouse would save some bread for the fly. But just then, the master of the house came in and saw the flies on the bread. He picked up the bread and threw it outside. The mouse took out a small piece of bread and kept it near the pot. Then he went to sleep. At noon, all the flies came, but they did not find any bread. Hi, friends. This is the story of a kind girl who found a shoeless kitten. People were going about their daily routines, and everything seemed normal. But little did they know that an extraordinary adventure was about to unfold. It was an ordinary day in the city. Our story begins with a young girl named Lisa. The kitten's soft fur and tiny claws, though sharp, were no match for her determination. The sun began its slow descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, and Lisa's concern grew. She couldn't bear the thought of the kitten spending the night alone and in the cold. Lisa knew she had to find the kitten's owner or a suitable foster home. The older woman listened patiently, her eyes twinkling with understanding. Then she did something unexpected. She didn't ask for the kitten right away. At first, it was just a twitch of its tail, then a playful swat at a passing butterfly. Lisa watched, her heart swelling with joy. She knew she had made the right decision by bringing Hope here. "I believe this might be the family you're looking for," she said gently. Could it be true? Had they found Hope's owner? With bated breath, Lisa approached the crate. The cat inside stood up, stretching languidly before padding towards them. Finally, it ventured out, exploring its surroundings with wide-eyed curiosity. "We all make a living, dear, but not all of us find a purpose. My purpose is to take care of these animals." Who realized that helping others was what gave her life meaning. With a newfound sense of clarity, Lisa turned to go. She waved back at the two cats, who were now fast asleep, curled up together. If you can find purpose in your journey, you will live a good life. Instead, she took Lisa and the kitten on a tour of the facility, introducing them to all the animals under their care. But as she knelt down to try to pet it, the kitten let out a hiss, its eyes wide with fear. She wondered if they were getting along well and if they missed each other now that they were apart. It was a decision that would change her life forever, but in the best possible way. From that day forward, Lisa's home was filled with the sounds of laughter and purrs. The two cats, now a part of her family, brought her endless happiness. The memory of their reunion stuck with her, a constant reminder of the good she had done, a testament to the enduring bond between humans and animals. It was a story of loss and reunion, of kindness and compassion, and most importantly, of the transformative power of love. She had found a lost kitten, brought it to safety, and helped reunite it with its owner. The cats, sensing her hesitation, approached her, rubbing against her legs in a silent, heartfelt request. Their unconditional love and trust in her were palpable, and in that instant, Lisa knew she couldn't say no. And most importantly, she had discovered the profound impact a single act of kindness can have. Mrs. Fields stopped in front of a cozy wooden crate. Her heart skipped a beat as she recognized the two cats from before. They were at her doorstep, mewing softly. In a world that often feels divided, it's the kindness of strangers that brings us together. Just like Lisa, we all have the ability to make a difference in someone's life. And sometimes all it takes is a gentle touch and a listening ear. Inside, a pair of golden eyes blinked back at them. She had brought these two lost souls back together, and the gratitude in their eyes was a reward in itself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the yard, Lisa knew it was time to say goodbye. Followed closely by a familiar little ball of fluff, none other than Hope. In their eyes, Lisa saw a silent plea. It was as if they were asking for her to take them in, to be their forever home. It was a cat, sleek and beautiful, with a patch of white fur on its chest. And as it gazed at Hope, a wave of recognition washed over its face, complete with cozy beds, food, water, and plenty of love. There were dogs, cats, rabbits, even a small flock of birds. The two cats stared at each other for a moment, and then, as if in slow motion, Hope leapt into the air and landed on its paws. The reunion was complete. All of them had been rescued and cared for until they could find their forever homes. The two cats, now reunited, rubbed against each other, purring loudly. It was clear they had found solace in each other's company after their long separation. Lisa understood. It must have been through a lot already and was understandably wary of humans. But she wasn't deterred. With gentle coaxing, she managed to gain the kitten's trust, and it slowly began to purr, nuzzling its head against her palm. She was known for her kindness and compassion, always ready to lend a helping hand to anyone in need. One day, while walking home from school, she noticed something unusual on the sidewalk. It was a tiny kitten, no bigger than her hand, meandering along, seemingly lost and alone. She remembered an animal shelter she and her friends had visited the week before. It was run by a kind woman named Mrs. Fields, who had a soft spot for stray animals. Without further ado, Lisa hurried towards the shelter, her heart pounding with anticipation. What made it particularly striking was that the kitten had no shoes. Not just one shoe, but both were missing, leaving its tiny pink paws exposed. Lisa's heart went out to the kitten. She knew she had to do something to help. She knew she couldn't leave the kitten to fend for itself. So, without hesitation, she scooped it up and cradled it close. As she walked, she asked passers-by if they had lost a cat, but none had. Suddenly, an idea struck her. When she got there, the sight that greeted her was heartwarming. Mrs. Fields had created a sanctuary for animals. Without wasting any time, Lisa went inside and explained her situation to Mrs. Fields. Along the way, the kitten, which Lisa had named Hope, began to show signs of life. As the afternoon wore on, Hope became more comfortable around the other animals and even began to purr, sensing the love and care that surrounded it. Then it happened. Mrs. Fields smiled. When it was close enough, Lisa carefully placed Hope on the ground. Overcome with emotion, Lisa knelt down, tears of joy streaming down her face. The sight before her was too touching to bear. The happiness was palpable, and Lisa couldn't help but smile. She hugged Mrs. Fields, thanking her for everything she did for the animals. The older woman's response was simple. Her words resonated with Lisa. As she walked, she thought about the day's events. Lisa's story serves as a reminder to all of us that compassion and empathy are powerful forces. In the days following the reunion, Lisa often thought about the cat and kitten. One evening, as Lisa sat by her window, lost in thought, she saw a flash of movement outside. As she opened the door, the cat from before stepped in. Overcome with emotion, Lisa's eyes welled up. It was a moment she had never imagined, yet felt inexplicably drawn to. With trembling hands, she stroked their fur, feeling an overwhelming sense of responsibility and joy. As the years passed, Lisa's story became a local legend. In today's video, we're going to talk about an elephant who was lost for more than a month and couldn't find his way back to his herd. This little calf fell into a hole in the ground and got separated from his family, and he didn't know how to get out. But when he heard some noises, he thought he might have found someone who could help him, and that's exactly what happened. We will now begin this incredibly exciting story. Do you want to join us? It all started one day like any other day on the savannah. He was exhausted and couldn't wait to get home and rest, but that wasn't all. As he approached, he noticed that the elephant was crying. Seeing this, Job Ali felt a surge of empathy and knew he had to do something to help. He called out to the elephant, trying to calm her down and let her know that he was there to help. The elephant, startled by the sudden appearance of the human, hesitated for a moment before slowly getting closer. He watched as they embraced and trumpeted in joy. Their bond unbreakable despite the difficult situation they had faced. Jabari couldn't help but smile. He had not only helped reunite the two elephants, he called out to her as loud as he could, hoping she would hear him. And she did. She was so grateful to the kind human who had helped them. In African cultures, elephants are highly revered animals and are often seen as symbols of wisdom, strength, and community. The villagers who came together to help Jabari build the water hoe played. Jafari's act of kindness and courage in rescuing the calf was instrumental in reuniting the family and preventing a tragedy. His actions serve as an inspiration to us all to be kind and helpful to others, no matter how different or challenging they may seem. An important role in ensuring the safety and well-being of the elephants in the area. We hope you enjoyed the heartwarming tale of the lost little elephant and the young man who came to his rescue. Don't forget to stay tuned for more exciting stories from around the world. And always remember to be kind and helpful to those in need. You never know whose life you might change for the better. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. By working together, they were able to create a sustainable solution that benefited not only the elephants, but also the entire community. They are also known for their intelligence, compassion, and complex social structures. The story of the lost little elephant highlights these qualities and teaches us about the importance of family, friendship, and helping those in need. The mother elephant was searching for her calf when she heard his faint calls. Despite the calf's fear and desperation, he never gave up hope of being reunited with his mother. And his determination paid off when she finally heard his calls and came to rescue him. She rushed to his aid, desperate to help him. When she arrived at the hole, she was heartbroken to see her baby trapped inside. But she refused to give up, but had also witnessed the incredible bond between them. It was a moment he would never forget. As he walked, he heard what sounded like elephants in the distance. But when he found himself stuck in the hole, he panicked and called out for help. Fortunately, Jabari heard him and came to his rescue. The calf, who was only a few months old, had no idea how to get out of the hole. He tried to climb out, but the walls were too slippery and he kept sliding down. He was scared and alone and didn't know what to do. The elephant, sensing the kindness in the young man's eyes, slowly allowed him to approach. It took Job Ali several minutes, but eventually he managed to free the elephant from the mud. The elephant, overjoyed to be free, trumpeted loudly in gratitude and rubbed against Job Ali's leg before disappearing into the bushes. At first, he didn't pay much attention to it. He couldn't help but feel good about himself for helping the elephant in need. She was starting to lose hope when suddenly she heard a familiar sound. It was the sound of Jabari's footsteps. Could he be out looking for her calf, too? With renewed hope, she began to walk towards the sound, following it like a lifeline in the vast wilderness. But little did he know that his encounter with the elephant was far from over. Was he going to find her baby? With each step, her hope grew. Then she heard a familiar trumpet. Could it be? With a burst of speed, she rushed towards the sound, and there she saw her calf standing next to Job Ali. They had found each other. Overjoyed, she rushed towards them and embraced her calf with her trunk, assuming it was just a herd of elephants passing by. But then he realized that the sounds were getting closer and louder. Curious, he decided to go over to the source of the noise to see what was going on. The mother elephant led her little calf to the river to quench their thirst. The hot sun beat down on their backs, and they were both very thirsty. Exhausted and defeated, she finally stopped and resigned herself to her fate. Suddenly, she heard some sounds in the distance. At first, they were faint and she wasn't sure if she was just imagining things. But then they came closer and she realized that it was the sound of footsteps. With renewed hope, she began to trumpet louder, hoping to attract the attention of whoever was coming. When they arrived at the river, they drank their fill and the mother elephant noticed that there was something unusual in the water. There was a large hole with a diameter of about 2 meters. She didn't think much of it, though, so she went over to the other side. But before they could cross, a loud crack echoed through the air and the ground under their feet collapsed. They both fell into the hole together with the calf in front. When the mother elephant regained consciousness, she found herself stuck deep in the mud with only her upper body sticking out. She desperately tried to free her hind legs from the sticky situation, but it was no use. In a panic, she let out a loud trumpet, hoping her calf would hear her and come to her aid. However, when she turned her head, she was met with a heartbreaking sight. Her little baby was nowhere to be found. The mother elephant was deeply worried about her calf and couldn't help but feel a sense of guilt. After all, if she hadn't led them to the river, none of this would have happened. Now her precious calf was missing and she didn't know where he could be. She called out to him again and again, but only silence answered her. On the other side of the savannah, a young man named Job Ali was walking home after a long day of work. When he got closer, he saw something that made him gasp in surprise. It was an elephant stuck in a hole in the ground. Job Ali slowly began to dig at the earth with his bare hands, trying to free the elephant from its sticky situation. Job Ali, tired but satisfied with himself, continued on his way home. Meanwhile, the mother elephant had been calling out for her calf for days, but there was no answer. As she walked, she could hear Job Ali calling out for her calf, just like she had been doing. Was he close? Jafari, who had been searching for the calf for hours, was overjoyed to see the reunion of the mother and child. The little calf must have wandered away from the herd in search of food and water. But then he heard a familiar sound, the sound of his mother's footsteps. With the help of Jabari, the mother elephant was able to free her calf from the hole. The little elephant's journey to reunite with his mother is a testament to the unwavering love and devotion between a mother and her child. The story also highlights the importance of community and the power of collective action. Finally, the story of the lost little elephant reminds us of the importance of compassion and helping those in need. And that's all for our story today. Deep in the enchanted forest lived a young, inexperienced, but kind-hearted unicorn named Celeste. Her mother, Queen Luna, had misplaced her magical crown, and it was up to Celeste to find it before the annual Moonlight Ball, said Celeste as she searched behind a large tree stump. Don't worry, sweetie. A year where all the magical creatures of the enchanted forest came together to celebrate the forest and its magic. Creatures from neighboring lands would also attend, bringing with them gifts and news from other parts of the world. But most importantly, it was a night for everyone to let loose and have fun. You have a little less than 24 hours, said Queen Luna, placing a hoof on Celeste's shoulder. I just know that whoever took my crown did so out of spite. Come play with us. And there they were, 3 shadowy figures with glowing red eyes, slowly emerging from behind a cluster of trees. Their leader stepped forward, his eyes boring into Celeste's. One of the shadowlings let out a loud, "Wait!" He pulled something out from under his cloak. It was small and shimmered in the dim light, and Celeste felt her heart skip a beat. It was her mother's crown. Looking for something, unicorn? He asked in a raspy voice. We won't hurt you. Suddenly, Celeste stopped dead in her tracks. She could hear her mother's voice. She was being stalked. Looks like you won't be seeing your mother's face at the ball tonight. Then she remembered what her mother had told her. The Oracle might be able to help, but would she be able to find her way back to the Oracle's clearing now? Or would the Shadowlings find her first, and with that, he and his companions disappeared into the shadows? She knew she couldn't defeat the Shadowlings in a fight, but she couldn't let them keep the crown either. As if reading her mind, the Shadowling leader suddenly lunged forward, knocking the crown out of her reach. It rolled off the ledge and disappeared into the darkness below. And if I don't get it back in time, the Moonlight Ball will be ruined. She had to find the Oracle. Who are you? She asked cautiously. We are the Shadowlings, he replied, a wicked grin spreading across his face, and you're in our territory. The Shadowling leader chuckled, a deep, guttural sound that sent shivers down Celeste's spine. We found it lying around in the forest, he said, twirling the crown in his hand. It's not yours, is it? Looks like you're in a bit of a hurry. Perhaps you'd like us to return it then, he said, holding out the crown in front of Celeste, just out of her reach. Now leave, or I'll have to make you. As soon as the sun began to set, Celeste set off into the Whispering Woods. The moment she stepped foot into the woods, the whispers began. Lost, are you? Lost and alone. No one can hear you scream. Their voices echoed through the trees. She peered into the darkness, but it was too dark to see anything. The Shadowlings burst into laughter, their voices echoing through the trees, bouncing off the rough bark and making Celeste's hooves feel like they were made of lead. If they couldn't find the crown, their enemies, the Shadowlings, would use this as an excuse to attack and take over the enchanted forest. She lives deep in the Whispering Woods and might be able to help us. Oh, my gosh, I can't believe we're already out of time. The Moonlight Ball was the one night, and now, taking a deep breath, Queen Luna continued, I want you to go see the Oracle. The Whispering Woods was a place that very few unicorns ventured into, even during the day. The trees in the woods were gnarled and twisted, and instead of leaves, they had mouths that whispered secrets to anyone who walked by. Sometimes those secrets were helpful, but most times they were useless or worse, a trick to lure unsuspecting unicorns into the wrong path. And at night, the trees would come alive and stalk the forest floor, searching for any unfortunate soul to devour. But Celeste didn't have a choice. As she walked deeper into the woods, the whispers grew louder, trying to distract her, trying to trick her. Over here, little one. She quickly turned around, her horn lowered to the ground, ready to defend herself. Celeste shook her head, her eyes darting from side to side, trying to get a read on these strange creatures. Celeste backed away slowly, her horn still pointed at the ground. Just as she was about to turn and run, how did you get this? She asked, her voice trembling with both anger and relief. Celeste hesitated, unsure what to do. No? Celeste cried out, rushing to the edge. Well, looks like you're out of luck, little unicorn, said the shadowling leader, his voice dripping with sarcasm. All hope seemed lost. What was she going to do now? To be continued in Part 2. In a world where dreams were as real as the stars in the night sky, lived a young girl named Ella. She had a secret, a magical brush that could bring her dreams to life. This brush wasn't just any ordinary paintbrush. Sure, she loved to paint, but her art wasn't displayed on walls or gallery halls. No, her canvases were the clouds in the sky, drawing pictures of mythical beasts and fantastical lands. Seeing this, Ella's heart went out to him. She approached him and asked why he didn't play with the others, but Finn knew. He understood the language of dreams and their shared dream of a world where imagination and reality danced hand in hand. Their journey was a testament to the power of friendship, the magic of dreams, and the wonder that bloomed when one girl's crazy art met a lonely boy's extraordinary vision. The connection between imagination and reality. From that day on, Finn and Ella became friends. They roamed the land, bringing joy and wonder to everyone they met through their art. Ella painted whimsical creatures from Finn's drawings, while Finn, now able to speak the language of dreams, could control these creations, guiding them to be a source of happiness rather than destruction. The leaves on the trees, even the faces of people she passed by, who, touched by Finn's friendship, became a loyal companion. They rode the sunflower monster. People started to understand their art, to see the beauty in their dreams. And soon, the whole world became a canvas for their imaginations. Who, charmed by Ella's gentle touch, turned into a magnificent steed. And so, through the power of friendship, Ella and Finn learned to use their gifts not just to fulfill their own dreams, but to bring dreams to life for everyone around them. To the rest of the world, these were just mundane things, but with Ella's touch, they became something extraordinary. A simple puddle turned into a shimmering fairy pond. An old, gnarled tree became a wise, ancient wizard. And a passerby's gloomy face transformed into a beautiful flower. It was a conduit to Ella's imagination, a portal to the fantastical world within her mind. With every stroke, it painted not just on canvases, but on the very fabric of reality. Now, Ella wasn't your typical painter, but Ella's magic wasn't without consequence. For every wonderful thing she painted, something equally as bad came into existence. A field of beautiful sunflowers also birthed a terrifying sunflower monster. A majestic rainbow spawned a grumpy cloud beast. And the more she painted, the more these creatures multiplied, wreaking havoc in the human world. She took out her brush and, with a few strokes of her magic, transformed Finn's drawing of a grumpy cloud beast into a real, live creature. The other children gasped in awe as the cloud beast lumbered to life. Then Ella did something unexpected. Instead of making more fantastic beasts, she painted Finn's face, turning him into a magnificent lion cub, as fierce and as free as the creatures that roamed his drawings. One day, Ella met a young boy named Finn. He was different from the other children. While they played and laughed, he sat alone. "I don't belong here," Finn replied, his voice downcast. "These people, they don't understand my drawings. They think they're crazy." Ella looked at the drawings. They weren't crazy. They were magical, filled with wonder and excitement. But she knew what people were like. They wouldn't understand Finn's art just as they didn't understand hers. An idea sparked in Ella's mind. The other children didn't understand what had happened. Together, they faced the grumpy cloud beast. They traveled far and wide, two friends united by their love for each other's art, their loyalty to their animal companions. As the years went by, Ella and Finn's legend grew. Once upon a time in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a little girl named Ellara who was known throughout the land for her delicious cookies. Every morning, she would wake up before the sun and spend the day baking magical cookies that could do all sorts of wonderful things. As she entered the kitchen, she noticed a cookbook on the counter with a strange golden cookie inside. The cookbook was filled with recipes written in a language Elora had never seen before. But when she looked at the golden cookie, it seemed to glow with an otherworldly light, and she felt a sudden urge to take a bite. She would give them to friends, neighbors, and even the king and queen. And each cookie was more fantastical than the last. One day, Elora was invited to the palace to bake cookies for the royal family. She may not have been a warrior or a witch, but she was a kind and helpful person. And besides, she really liked the cookie fairy. "I'll help you," she said, "but how will we get to the top of Mount Shiver?" "It's too dangerous." As soon as the cookie touched her tongue, the wind whipping through Elora's hair as she sped across the frozen landscape. The ice troll rumbled, "I am strong and I am swift, and with a flick of my wrist, I can send you to the afterlife." But that, my friends, is a story for another time. What am I? Elora thought for a moment. "Are you a snowflake?" she asked. The ice troll looked taken aback. "What? How did you know?" Elora smiled, because no matter how strong or swift a snowflake may be, it's still just a tiny little piece of ice. The ice troll's body began to shake as it let out a mighty roar. "You win this round, little ice skater, but I won't be defeated so easily." "Next time, mortal, next time." With that, it vanished back into the snowdrift, leaving Elora and the cookie fairy to continue on their quest. But suddenly, from behind a snowdrift, a huge, hairy monster emerged, blocking their path. Its eyes glowed red in the gloom, and its breath formed clouds of ice in the freezing air. "Beware, mortals," it roared. "If you wish to pass, you must first answer my riddle or face my icy wrath. Mount Shiver is at the top of the tallest mountain in the kingdom, guarded by fearsome ice trolls. Only someone who has eaten one of my golden cookies can hope to navigate the treacherous paths and survive the freezing cold." "Are you sure you want to do this, Elora?" "Why, I'm the cookie fairy, of course." "And you, my dear, have just eaten my favorite golden cookie." "I'm sure. Just tell me what to do," the cookie fairy smiled. "Good. Then let's go." With a wave of her magic wand, she transformed Elora into an ice skater, complete with a shimmering ice blue dress and a crown of sparkling snowflakes. "Now, because we fairies have a special fondness for sweets, I must ask you to help me on a very important quest." A powerful gust of wind suddenly swept through the kitchen. "Well, hello there." Startled, Elora jumped back, nearly knocking over a bowl of flour. "A quest? What kind of quest?" The cookie fairy waved her magic wand, causing a swirl of powdered sugar to erupt from the countertop. "We need your help to retrieve the 3 lost ingredients from the top of Mount Shiver. Without these ingredients, our entire forest will lose its magic forever. And only someone who has eaten one of my golden cookies can help us." When she turned back to the counter, she saw a small, exquisitely dressed woman with a pointed hat and a mischievous grin. "Who are you?" Elora asked, still trembling from the surprise, spinning the cookbook in the air before it disappeared in a flash of light. Then just as quickly, the wind subsided and the kitchen was silent. Elora looked around in confusion, not knowing what had just happened or where the cookbook had gone. Suddenly, a tiny voice spoke up from the countertop. The little woman chuckled. Elora hesitated. Elora felt a surge of determination. The cookie fairy waved her magic wand again, this time creating a pair of ice skates. Elora took the ice skates, determined to help her new friend. And so they set off for Mount Shiver. Elora drew herself up to her full height, meeting the creature's gaze with determination. Ask your riddle, troll, and so their adventure continued. Have you ever heard of an Indian actor named Shah Rukh Khan? Well, if you haven't, you're in for a treat. During a break in the shoot, he decided to take a stroll around the town, and guess what? He ended up at a mall. He walked right into the theater and sat down to watch the movie with the audience. They went about their shopping, grabbed some popcorn, and settled down to watch the movie, but they had no idea that they were in for a real-life Bollywood moment. Suddenly, the lights dim, the screen comes alive with Shah Rukh's charming smile, and the next 2 hours, you're completely engrossed in the movie. Now, I know it sounds like a typical Bollywood trope, but hold on, because this is where the magic happens. Just imagine the energy in that room, the excitement, the camaraderie. It's like nothing you've ever experienced before. After the movie, during the applause, Shah Rukh makes a surprise appearance on stage. And let me tell you, the crowd goes absolutely bonkers. They shower him with flowers. In the midst of all the adulation, there's this one person who steals the show. Do you want to know who it is? Grabs the mic and, without wasting a second, she announces her next project. Yes, you heard it right. She drops a major movie update that leaves everyone on the edge of their seats. The suspense is palpable. The audience is eager to know more. And just when they thought it couldn't get any better, Shah Rukh makes an unexpected move. Drum roll, please. It's none other than Rani Mukherjee. Now, you might be thinking, what's so surprising about that? Well, hold your horses, because this is where the plot thickens. They scream his name. They try to get a closer look. It's a full-on fan frenzy. As the hero takes off his shirt, the audience erupts in cheers. They whistle, they hoot, they bang on the seats. And in the middle of all this madness, someone stands up and shouts. He waves, he smiles, he even signs autographs. It's like a dream come true for his fans. Take it off, and you know what? Everyone joins in. The whole theater is chanting, take it off, places his hand on Rani's shoulder and gives her a peck on the cheek, and in that instant the crowd goes wild. It's a moment of pure magic, a gesture that speaks volumes about their camaraderie, and the impact is undeniable. You laugh, you cry, you cheer, but amidst all the drama, there's this one moment that stands out. Imagine their shock when the star of the movie they were watching casually enters the theater and joins them. This simple gesture between Shah Rukh and Rani created a ripple effect. It became a defining moment of the event, leaving fans in awe and solidifying their status as one of Bollywood's most iconic duos. It must have felt like a scene from one of his movies. Now, you might be wondering, whoopee, what does it mean for the rest of us mere mortals? He just showed up, bought a ticket, and sat down like anyone else. Now, you know how sometimes you feel a bit self-conscious watching movies alone in the theater. Well, not after this. Turns out Shah Rukh has a way of making you feel like you're not alone. Well, let me tell you, it means everything. Now, normally, you'd think, big deal, Shah Rukh Khan at the mall. But here's the twist. At that very moment, there was a screening of his movie playing in the mall. Can you imagine the surprise? There was this one time when Shah Rukh was shooting for a movie in New Zealand. As the movie was playing, he decided to do something crazy. You see, for many people in that town, it was just another ordinary day at the mall. The best part? Shah Rukh didn't make a grand entrance or anything. So, picture this. You're in the middle of a crowd watching your favorite Bollywood flick. As the movie reaches its climax, the emotions are high, the music is swelling, and then it happens. The hero takes off his shirt. Now, I don't know about you, but that would have been quite a sight to behold, but the fun doesn't stop there. And Shah Rukh, being the gracious superstar that he is, acknowledges the love, but here's the thing. Rani enters the stage, he steps forward. You see, in the world of Bollywood, where emotions run high and connections are made on screen. The lost teddy. One day, a teddy bear accidentally fell out of his owner's bedroom window. The wind was so strong that he was blown all the way to the park, so he started to walk toward the place where he remembered seeing the brightest light. Suddenly, he heard some voices. "Look, a teddy bear," said one of them. The teddy hoped that they would return him to his home, but unfortunately, the children just wanted to play with him. They threw him into the sandbox and started building a castle around him. Which one do you think is cuter? The girl asked, mine or yours? The teddy bear was shocked. Did she think that he was her teddy? Did she not understand that he was telling her that he isn't her teddy? Look, the boy said, pointing at the teddy. Your teddy is trying to tell you something. She was looking at a picture book with the cover torn off. He asked her what was wrong, and she replied, I lost my most prized possession. It's a beautiful necklace that my grandmother gave me, but I can't find it anywhere. The teddy bear knew that he had to help her, but how? He wasn't a real person and couldn't just search the house. He thought about his friend, the butterfly, and if she were here, she would know exactly what to do. The teddy bear walked over to the window and started waving his paws. Help! Help! He cried. Can someone help me? A butterfly that was flying past the window saw him and landed on it. What happened? She asked. Do you need help? The teddy bear explained everything to her and asked if she could please look for the necklace. Of course, the butterfly replied, leave it to me. The girl looked at the teddy bear and finally understood. Oh, you're not my teddy. Finally, she landed on a shelf where the necklace was hidden behind some clothes. The teddy bear cheered. You found it. He cried. You found the necklace. The girl picked up the necklace and hugged the teddy bear. Thank you for helping me find it, she said. I don't know what I would have done without you. The teddy bear smiled. He loved being helpful. You want me to return you to your owner, don't you? The teddy bear nodded happily. Finally, someone understood him. And every time the girl looked at the necklace, she remembered the kind butterfly who had helped her. The teddy bear was very happy. He had a wonderful owner, a beautiful house, and the best friends a teddy bear could ask for. He never forgot the importance of kindness and helping others. And he knew that no matter what, he could always count on his friends. The teddy tried to explain that he wasn't a toy, but the children didn't understand him. Here is where I lost my memory, he told the girl. But I still remember living in a house just like that one. The girl followed his gaze and then said, well, let's go see if anyone is looking for you. At the house, the girl knocked on the door. A woman opened it and asked, can I help you? Hello, the girl said. Is this teddy bear yours? We found him in the park, and he said that he lives here. The woman gasped, of course he does. That's my Benny. Thank you for finding him. She took the teddy bear and went back inside. The girl and the boy watched them go and then went back to the park. They thought that he was talking like a little kid. They played until sunset and then they left. But he would never have made it if it hadn't been for the butterfly and the girl. It's always nice to meet new friends of Benny's. The girl and the boy entered the house with the teddy bear. They played with him and his owner for a long time. And when it was finally time for them to go, they promised to visit again soon. The teddy bear watched them leave, happy to have such great friends. He missed them already and wondered if he could ever see them again. Suddenly, he heard some familiar voices. Hey! Aren't those the people who found me? The teddy bear shouted excitedly. Look, the teddy bear is talking, the boy said to the girl. Do you think he wants us to come over? The girl asked. The teddy bear nodded happily. His owner was watching them curiously, wondering who these new friends were, where he landed right in the middle of an empty sandbox. The teddy looked around. In the morning, a butterfly sat down next to him. Are you all right? Asked the butterfly. I don't want to scare you, but you look very lonely here. The teddy bear explained his situation to her, and the butterfly immediately wanted to help. I'm going to show you where to find lots of other teddies like you. Then someone is bound to be looking for you. He didn't know where he was or how he got there. He felt sad and scared, but mostly just confused. But none of them seemed to be looking for him. The teddy was about to leave when suddenly a girl came running into the room. She picked up a teddy bear from the shelf, but it wasn't him. The teddy bear felt a little hurt, but also a bit angry. Why did this girl keep picking up the wrong teddy? Was she just playing with them? He wanted to tell her that he was here, but he couldn't make a sound. How could she ever find him if he didn't make a sound? That's when the teddy bear had an idea. He walked over to the shelf and started making noise by knocking over small objects. "Look," the girl said, startled. "A teddy bear is trying to talk to me." She put the teddy on the floor and went over to the talking teddy. "What did you say?" she asked. "Can you repeat what you said?" The teddy bear tried to speak, but it came out sounding like motorboat noises. The girl understood this, however, and answered, "You want me to take you somewhere, right?" The teddy bear nodded, so the girl took him outside. Where were the trees that had been surrounding him when he flew through the air? Where was the warm light coming from the window? And where was his little owner who loved him very much? The teddy bear sat in the sandbox for a long time, but no one came to look for him. The teddy bear spent the night alone in the cold sandbox. New friends. They arrived at a large house with many windows. The teddy bear was excited and ran inside. There were teddy bears everywhere. On the way, they met a little boy holding a teddy bear. They walked past a park, and the teddy bear wanted to stop. The teddy bear and his owner were soon playing happily together again. The teddy bear was glad to be home. "Come on in," the woman said. But the story doesn't end there. Soon after his friends left, the teddy bear noticed that his owner wasn't paying attention to him. The butterfly flew all over the house, looking everywhere. From that day on, the teddy bear and the butterfly became the best of friends. They helped each other whenever they could. The end. There are some things that one would do when desperate, things they never thought they'd have to do, but circumstances force their hands. Sometimes it can be a life or death situation, and other times it can be a friend or loved one being threatened. People often say they never do certain things until they're in a tight corner with no other options. She just liked having the upper hand. Even though they didn't live together, they spoke every day. He told her that their mother had just been rushed to the hospital and the doctors said she was dying. Their mom had been sick for some time now, but she didn't seem close to death. She then went online and ordered the most expensive food delivery she could find, all of Tom's favorites. Before Mary could tell him what she'd planned, he started drinking heavily. Then he sat down on the couch and fell asleep. Mary was angry at first, but then realized her dad was just as upset as Tom and she felt sorry for him. "But I'm old enough to take care of myself. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine." Mary couldn't believe what she was reading. She didn't mean to scare Tom off. She just wanted to help. But now he was alone in the world with no one to protect him. She walked up to them and asked if they were there to go to the beach. Yes, one of them replied. She promised herself she'd never let him out of her sight again. When the van stopped, the three children ran off excitedly. Mary followed after them. "Are you the new girl?" Mary nodded. "Okay, then follow us." The children led her to a van and opened the door. The driver was a burly man with a long white beard. He welcomed Mary and told her to sit down. "Well, you see, my wife and I love taking care of children." The driver smiled and said, "No need to thank me. It was our pleasure." They were both grateful that they had each other. The bond between them was unbreakable. Mary knew that no matter what happened, she'd always have Tom and he'd always have her. "We can't have kids ourselves, and seeing you enjoy the beach makes us happy. It reminds us of when we were young." Mary and Tom exchanged glances. Now they understood. They had a great time, and it made Tom forget his worries. When the sun began to set, Mary knew it was time to go home. So she joined him on the couch, and they slept there together. She also bought a bottle of his favorite liquor, which was only for adults. Mary called out to him, and he turned around. He looked happy, but when he saw Mary, his face fell. "Tom, why did you leave?" she asked. "Because I didn't want your help. He replied, "You scared me, Mary? I'm big enough to take care of myself." He stood up and threw his head back in frustration. She stood up and went to the kitchen to pour herself some coffee. He felt like she forced him to stay with her instead of letting him be with their dad. It made sense. She'd done the same thing to Tom when they were kids. It was second nature to her. That's when she heard a noise coming from her bedroom. Tom looked at his sister. He saw the regret in her eyes and felt his anger melt away. "Did you have a good time?" "Yes," Tom replied. "It was amazing." "Thank you. You're welcome," the driver said. "I'm glad you enjoyed it." He paused for a moment. "So, do you mind if I ask you something?" "Sure," Mary replied. "Of course, I forgive you," he said. "But please don't do it again." Mary nodded. "I promise." She rushed back to see what had happened, but it was too late. Tom was gone. In fact, he hadn't even slept there. The sheets were rumpled as if someone had been laying on them. They said they did and gave Mary the address where they'd be picking people up. Mary rushed to get ready and called a cab. She had to get to the meeting point as soon as possible. After finishing this, she called their father and asked him to come over. She even looked in the closet and under the bed, but he was gone. That's when she noticed a note lying on the pillow where she'd been sleeping. She knew exactly where Tom had gone. Tom had always dreamed of seeing the ocean. He lived so far inland that it was almost impossible to do. But 2 weeks ago, Mary had seen an ad for a trip to the beach. The tour company even offered free transportation. She'd saved the advertisement in case Tom ever needed cheering up. And now it seemed he did. She picked it up and read what Tom had written. She told him it was urgent, but didn't say why. Tom said the doctor told them she had only hours left to live. He was crying and Mary felt sorry for him. She hugged him and told him everything would be all right. Tom asked Mary if he should tell their dad. She told him not to, since their dad would only blame himself and become even more reclusive than he already was. Mary told Tom to come over to her place. She'd figure something out. Mary knew how kind-hearted Tom was and worried that he'd get taken advantage of because of it. She also knew Tom's heart would break if anything bad happened to her. She teased him mercilessly and got away with it because Tom was too nice to retaliate. If someone ever tried such tactics with him, he'd just let it slide. Today, we Lines look at the story of a desperate sister who made a choice she never thought she'd have to make. Do you think you'd be able to do what she did? Let's find out. Mary had always been protective of her younger brother, Tom. It wasn't because he was weak or couldn't handle himself. Quite the opposite. Their parents had divorced years ago, and Mary lived with their father while Tom stayed with their mother. One night, Tom called Mary in tears. When Tom arrived, he explained what had happened. Mary was surprised. She took Tom to her room and laid him down on her bed. When their dad arrived, he looked distraught after hearing about their mom. The next morning, Mary woke up first and saw their dad sleeping beside her. She searched everywhere for him, but he was nowhere to be found. "I'm sorry, Mary. I know you only wanted to protect me." Mary rushed to call their dad, but before she could, she remembered something. She turned around and went back to her room. Mary quickly called the tour company and asked if they had space for another person. When she arrived, she saw many people waiting outside. There were also 3 kids. As the journey progressed, Mary thought about what she'd do when she found Tom. She saw Tom sitting on a rock by the sea looking out into the distance. At that moment, Mary realized Tom wasn't just trying to be independent. He was hurt and angry. "I'm sorry, Tom. I shouldn't have done that." "Please forgive me," Mary pleaded. Mary and Tom spent the whole day at the beach playing and relaxing. On the way back, Mary and Tom rode in the front seat of the van. The driver turned around and asked them, "Do you know why we gave you kids a discount?" He asked. "Why?" Tom asked. "Oh, thank you," Mary said. We really appreciate it." When they arrived home, Mary and Tom hugged. Once upon a time in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a beautiful fairy. She was kind and generous and loved by all the people in the kingdom. But the fairy was very, very old. In fact, she was so old that her magic was beginning to fade. She wasn't able to grant wishes anymore. She made a wish that the fairy's magic would return. Then she placed the seeds in a small box and ran as fast as she could to the fairy's house. When she got there, she knocked on the door. "Who's there?" called the fairy from inside. "It's me," said the girl. "Please let me in." The fairy opened the door and gasped in surprise when she saw the box in the girl's hands. "What's that?" she asked. "It's the seeds, the dandelion seeds," said the girl. "You gave them to me, but I don't want any wishes to come true. I want to earn everything myself." The fairy looked at the girl and smiled. "Thank you," she said. "This is the best gift I could have ever asked for." The fairy took the box from the girl and placed it on her table. Then she sat down. The next morning, the fairy woke up feeling better than she had in a long time. Her magic was returning. It was a very slow process, but with every wish that was not granted, her powers grew a little stronger. And so the fairy was happy because now she could continue making people happy with her magic forever. And this made her very sad because she had always loved granting wishes. One day, the fairy saw a young girl sitting by a lake. The girl was crying. And the fairy, even though she was very busy with all the chores around the house, flew down to the lake to see if she could help. "Why are you crying?" asked the fairy. "I'm sorry," said the girl. "It's just that today is my birthday, but no one remembers. Not my parents, not my friends, no one." The fairy felt sad when she heard this. She wanted to do something nice for the girl, but she couldn't think of anything. Then she had an idea. "How would you like some magic for your birthday?" "Magic that can come true. All your wishes will come true," said the fairy. The girl's eyes widened in surprise. "Really? You mean it?" "Of course," said the fairy. "Here is the magic. Now blow on these dandelion seeds and close your eyes while you do it. Then you can make any wish and it will come true." The girl took the dandelion seeds from the fairy and closed her eyes. She thought for a moment. What did she want more than anything in the world? She thought about toys and sweets and parties. But then she remembered what her mother had told her once. If you truly want something, it is more fun to earn it than to receive it as a gift. So the girl decided that she didn't want any of her wishes to be granted by the fairy. She blew on the dandelion seeds and opened her eyes. "Thank you, fairy, but I don't want any wishes to come true. I want to earn everything myself." The fairy was shocked. She had never met anyone who didn't want magic before. "Are you sure?" she asked. "Yes, I'm sure," said the girl. "Well, then it's up to you," said the fairy. She handed the dandelion seeds back to the girl. "If you change your mind, just blow on them and close your eyes and your wish will come true." The girl took the seeds and watched as the fairy flew away. As soon as the fairy was out of sight, the girl blew on the dandelion seeds. This pug has been waiting for his forever home for 483 days. Can you imagine how long that is? He is one of the longest waiting dogs at the shelter, and it is all because of his looks. But there's more to the story, and it's heartbreaking. Hi, I'm here to share the story of abandoned Oliver the pug. When they checked his microchip, they discovered that he had a family once. His name isn't Oliver. He was actually named Bruce. He's a small dog with a big heart. You can do that by clicking the link in the description below. Every little bit helps. Also, if you know someone who can adopt him, please share this video with them. Let's find Oliver his forever home. His ideal family will be active and will take him on lots of adventures. He loves exploring. He needs a family who will give him lots of love and will never abandon him. Is that you? His owner abandoned him when he got too big. Can you imagine being abandoned because you're too big? It makes no sense. He was only 12 weeks old when this happened. Thankfully, the shelter took him in, and now he's looking for a new family. All of the dogs at the shelter receive lots of love and care from the staff, but they don't get much exercise. So they were all very excited when a volunteer came to take them for walks. When the volunteer first saw Oliver, he didn't want to go on a walk at all. It took some time, but eventually he agreed. The moment he stepped outside, though, his whole demeanor changed. He was like a different dog. He wanted to explore everywhere. Unfortunately, though, he also wanted to explore inside this lady's bag. He was so persistent that she had to chase him around the park to keep him from stealing her things. They took him home after the walk and gave him a bath. And look at how happy he was afterward. Just look at him. He's such a good boy. He loved getting pets and scratches, and he gave kisses in return. He was so well behaved, he even shook himself dry after the bath. He's such a smart boy. After spending a day with the volunteer, it was time to bring him back to the shelter. The next day, the same volunteer came back to take Oliver on another adventure. This time they went to a lake, and he had an absolute blast. He splashed in the water and played with the other dogs. He loved it, but then something very strange happened. Oliver suddenly started digging in the dirt and wouldn't stop. At first, the volunteer thought that he was trying to bury a bone or something, but he kept digging and digging. Eventually, the volunteer realized that he was actually trying to dig a hole to China. Well, not really, but he was trying to dig a hole under the fence to escape. As soon as the volunteer realized what he was doing, he picked him up and brought him back to the shelter. When Oliver returned to the shelter, the staff found out why he tried to escape. Despite his size, he's not that heavy at all. He's only 16 pounds. If you can't adopt Oliver, then how about you give him a meal? That's all for today. See you next time. A boy and his father had an argument. The son was only 17 years old, but he was already very skilled in swordsmanship and horsemanship. He thought that now he knew enough to go out into the world and see things for himself. But his father didn't agree with that. "I'm on my way to the capital city," replied the young man. "Why do you ask?" He dismounted from his horse and tied it to a tree. Then he walked into the mountains to look for the star. After walking for quite a while, he finally saw a small cottage in the distance. His father listened patiently, and when his son finished his story, he said, "You did well." He was still a child, and his father had been right to worrying about him. The young man never forgot the valuable lesson he had learned from his adventure. He heard strange noises all around him, and he kept expecting to come across dangerous animals. But as he walked deeper and deeper into the forest, he began to calm down. He realized that the hermit was right. He did have something that would help him survive the journey, his will to live. With that realization, the young man felt a surge of confidence. He knew that he would be able to find his way out of the forest. You acted wisely and knew what was most important to you. I am proud of you. And he made a shelter to protect himself from the elements. He even befriended some of the animals in the forest who helped him along his journey. Eventually, the young man reached the edge of the forest and emerged into the sunlight. When he looked back at the forest, he realized that he had changed. He was no longer the same young man who had entered the woods so many weeks ago. He was stronger, braver, and more resourceful. And he knew that if he ever needed to, he could survive in the wild. The young man couldn't believe what his father was saying. "You're proud of me. You're proud that I wanted to come back home. Don't you think I should have gotten more? You could have gotten anything you wanted, but you chose to come home. That shows me that you're a smart and caring person. I couldn't ask for a better son." The young man threw himself around his father's neck and hugged him tightly. "I love you, father, and I love you too, son." As he approached the house, he heard beautiful singing coming from inside. When he knocked on the door, it opened by itself, and he entered the house. There lived a hermit who was known throughout the land for his wisdom and his ability to communicate with animals. One day, a young man approached the hermit's hut and asked for his help. "Oh, wise hermit," he said, "I am lost in the forest, and I do not know how to get out. Could you please help me?" The hermit listened patiently and then said, "Of course I will help you, but I must warn you, the path out of the forest is not an easy one. It is fraught with danger, and only those who are brave and resourceful will survive the journey." The young man's face fell. "I'm afraid I do not have what it takes to survive in the wild," he said. "I'm not brave and I'm not resourceful." The hermit smiled. "That does not matter," he said. "You have something much more important, and that is your will to live. As long as you have that, you will be able to find your way out of the forest." The young man hesitated, but the hermit's words gave him hope. So he thanked the hermit for his help and set off into the forest. Inside, he saw a beautiful girl sitting at a table. She stopped singing when she saw him and asked, "Can I help you?" "Where is the lonely star?" the young man asked. "I seek its help." "Oh, you want to make a wish, too?" the girl asked. "Yes, I do. Please tell me where the star is." "If you want to meet the lonely star, you must first do us a favor," said the girl. "What favor?" "We have a big party tonight, and we would like you to stay and dance with us." The young man hesitated, but then he thought, "Well, I have all the time in the world anyway. Why not stay and have fun?" So he agreed to stay. "Because I have something very important to tell you," said the stranger. At midnight, the girl came over to him and said, "Thank you for coming. Now I will show you where the lonely star is." She took him outside and pointed to a small, unassuming star in the sky. "There it is," she said. "Make your wish." The young man looked at the star and thought, "I've come so far. I've risked my life to get here. And now that I actually have the chance to make a wish, I don't know what to wish for." He suddenly realized that the most important thing for him was to return home. He missed his family and friends. He thought about the girl and the wonderful party they had. He thought about the beautiful nature around him. And he also thought about his horse, which must be wondering where he went. Suddenly, he didn't want to be anywhere else. He didn't want any treasure or power. All he wanted was to be home. Do you know that there is a wish-granting star up ahead? It is called the Lonely Star. Don't you want anything? She asked. I thought everyone who found the Lonely Star wished for something very important. I do want something very important, the young man replied. Bring me back to where I came from. Show me the way. The girl couldn't believe her ears. Are you sure? She asked. Yes, I'm sure. The girl nodded and waved her magic wand. In a flash, they were back where they started. The young man thanked the girl and started to walk home. It lives high up in the mountains and grants every passerby a wish. Really? That sounds interesting, said the young man. But where exactly is this star, and how do I find it? The stranger smiled slyly and said, I know where it is, but I don't feel like telling you. If you want to know where the star is, you will have to answer a riddle. Okay, what's the riddle? The young man asked, I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I? The young man thought for a moment. Are you a painting? He asked. Correct, said the stranger. You are indeed a painting. Now I will tell you where the wish-granting star is located. And with that, the stranger disappeared. In his eyes, his son was still just a child, so he forbade him from going anywhere. The boy tried to argue with his father, but nothing changed his mind. It made the boy angry. He started to despise his father for always treating him like a child instead of letting him become an adult. One day, the boy heard some merchants talking about the emperor's new clothes. They said that whoever could bring them to the emperor would get a huge reward. This gave the young man an idea. He went to his father and asked for permission to go to the capital city. His father agreed, thinking that this would be a great opportunity for his son to see the world. "Take this bag of gold with you," said the father. "If you need anything, you can buy it." Then the young man set off. On the way to the capital, he met a strange man. "Greetings, traveler," said the stranger. "Where are you headed?" The young man continued his journey until he saw a magnificent mountain range in front of him. They had such a great time dancing and drinking that the young man completely forgot about his wish. When the girl saw that he wasn't making a wish, she got scared. When he returned home, he told his father everything that had happened. From that day on, the young man and his father were even closer to each other than before. The young man understood that his father was right. Once upon a time, deep in the heart of a dense and ancient forest, at first, the young man was terrified. As days turned into weeks, the young man continued his journey through the forest. He learned to hunt and fish. In 2012, a picture was posted online that changed everything. It was an image of a rock covered in strange symbols, something like ancient hieroglyphics. But what made this so crazy was where it was found. It was sitting on a beach in Australia, and these symbols weren't just random. They spelled out a message, and today, more than a decade later, we still don't know who put them there or what they mean. It all started when a user named Mungo Man posted this photo to Reddit. The image was of a rock monolith that looked like it had been carved with 30 or so characters that were unlike anything seen before. Well, Snuffster said that he wanted to see how far his artwork would spread without him being involved. And it seems to have worked. They do seem to form recognizable words and phrases. We don't know for sure because he hasn't revealed the full meaning behind the symbols. Maybe he wants to keep some mysteries surrounding his art. When we rearrange the symbol that looks like a fish, it becomes the word Nemo. If we rearrange the letter like symbols, they spell out go home. And when we do the same with the circle-like symbol, it says I'm lost. This makes it seem like Snuffster's story might not be entirely true. To back up his claim, Snuffster shared images of the rock monolith in question before and after the paint was added. And while this evidence seems pretty convincing, there are still some doubts. Some believe that the strange symbols could have healing powers. And do you want to visit this rock yourself? It's located near Melbourne, Australia, so I guess it's not too far if you're in the area. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. For example, a woman named Nikki Lucas claimed that her osteoarthritis went away after visiting the rock monolith. Then again, she also admitted that she hasn't taken her arthritis medication in years. So it's hard to say if the symbols really helped her or not. Each shape has a corresponding letter, number, and even a few simple words, with some parts of the symbols looking like basic shapes like circles and triangles. Others resembled animals such as a fish or a bird. Some people have speculated that this rock monolith could be proof of ancient aliens visiting Australia long before humans. However, we can probably take a more grounded approach to this mystery, which suggests that this was likely left by a person rather than visitors from another planet. The post didn't get much traction at first, but soon later, someone else shared it with a wider audience and it exploded. Strangely enough, we may have an answer for that. While the original poster didn't reveal who was behind the symbols, one man did come forward claiming that he was responsible. His name is Snuffster, a street artist from Melbourne. He said that he created the symbols and posted them on the beach as a form of public art. This is one of the top-rated posts on Reddit of all time. People loved speculating about these mysterious symbols. Were they an ancient language, a secret code, some kind of joke? At first glance, it looks like the markings are random, but when you realize they follow a pattern, things start to make sense. But who could have done this and why? But if this is true, why not just say so from the beginning? Some argue that the symbols aren't random after all, but a cipher of some sort. If you rearrange some of the symbols, however, it's also possible that he simply forgot part of his cryptic message. And whether he made them up or not, it's clear that these symbols are having an effect on people. What do you think of this mystery? Let me know in the comments below. Is it a hoax or proof of something more? In the heart of a bustling city stood an old tree. It had seen countless seasons come and go, its branches reaching out like gnarled fingers to the sky. But this tree was no ordinary tree, their hopes and dreams taking shape amidst its sheltering branches. And as the years rolled by, it developed a deep affection for these fleeting, fragile creatures. It had a secret, a magical ability that set it apart from all the others in the city. You see, this tree had a particular fondness for humans. It had watched them build their lives, a talking tree. She thought it was a trick of her imagination. But the tree continued speaking, its words resonating with an otherworldly melody. Are you here to listen again? The tree asked, startled. Lily could only nod. I am not here to punish you, Lily, but to help you understand the power of your words. She realized the tree was right. She had hurt people with her words, and now she understood the pain she had caused them. For every kind word spoken, a flower of joy blooms in the soul. The old habits of sarcasm and mockery almost took over. But with each kind word she spoke, she felt a warm glow in her chest. She found joy in lifting others up with her words, and it was a happiness that lasted far longer than any harsh words ever could. He was known for his unkind actions, always playing cruel jokes and making fun of others. Hey, John, she called out, I heard a joke that I think you'll like. And as she told him a funny story that made no one feel bad, Lily knew the tree was right. She wasn't just making someone laugh, she was planting a seed of kindness in his heart, hoping that one day it would grow. The tree began to rustle, its leaves whispering with urgency. Speak now, Lily, before it's too late, a feeling far better than the fleeting satisfaction of a cutting remark. Whenever you feel a kind word rising in your heart, speak it. Let it flow from your lips like honey. For every harsh word spoken, a weed of sorrow takes root. To her, they were just careless jabs, jokes meant to make people laugh. But if they hurt others, then she didn't want to do that anymore. The tree sighed, its leaves whispering in the wind. I have been watching you, Lily. I know your heart is not bad, but your words can be as sharp as knives, cutting deep into others' feelings. Be kind, little one, for kindness is a language the world always understands. Startled and a little scared, Lily scrambled away from the tree. She couldn't believe what she had just experienced. One day, a young girl named Lily sat down at the tree's base. She was known for her unkind words, often hurting others with her thoughtless comments. As she leaned against the tree, its ancient wisdom seemed to fill her with tranquility. Suddenly, the tree began to speak, its voice a gentle rustle of leaves. Kind words are like honey, it said, its voice echoing in Lily's heart. They are sweet to the ear and nourish the soul. Lily was astounded. That night, unable to sleep, she tossed and turned in her bed, the tree's words echoing in her head. Be kind. What did it mean? Why was she, of all people, being addressed by a magical tree? The next morning, Lily decided to return to the tree. As she approached, she heard a faint rustling. Tears welled up in Lily's eyes. She had never thought of her words as harmful. The tree sensed her remorse and softened its tone. Lily hung her head in shame. The tree continued, I want you to do something for me, Lily. From that day on, Lily made a conscious effort to speak kindly. At first, it was difficult. As the weeks passed, Lily noticed a change in herself. One day, while sitting under the tree, Lily saw a young boy approach. Taking a deep breath, Lily stood up. The boy was within earshot. Now or never.